Through more than 50 years of Marvel Comics, the character of Daredevil has remained one of the most thought-provoking and dynamic characters in comic books. Many of his stories rank among the greatest in the world of comics, with the so-called man without fear suffering through trials and tribulations that often resonate on a deeper level than simple superhero fare. But none are more powerful and steeped in such emotional and spiritual depth than writer Frank Miller and artist David Mazzucchelli's Daredevil Born Again. Lasting a total of 7 issues spanning from Daredevil number 227 through 233 in 1986, the story follows Matt Murdock, also known as Daredevil, a crime-fighting vigilante by night and lawyer by day. As a child, Matt was blinded by radioactive waste while saving an elderly man, which robbed him of his sight but superhumanly heightened his other senses, giving him the power to fight crime and protect the innocent. In the time since, Matt has experienced numerous triumphs and tragedy in all aspects of his life. By the start of Born Again, Matt is already at the end of his rope due to an ever-worsening personal and professional life. In Mexico, Matt's former girlfriend Karen Page, who was last seen several years prior leaving New York in hopes of becoming a movie star, has become a heroin addict. With nothing left, she gives away the last thing of value she has for one more hit: the information that Matt Murdock is secretly Daredevil. Eventually, this information reaches Wilson Fisk, the kingpin of crime, who decides to systematically destroy Matt. Not because Daredevil is a serious threat to him, but because he is the only good man he has ever known, and as such has been a consistent annoyance to him. With the knowledge of Matt's secret identity and a seemingly endless amount of power in New York, the Kingpin pulls enough strings to take away all of Matt's money, cost him his license to practice law, disgrace him, cut him off from his friends, and finally, blow up his apartment building. Matt is left with nothing and experiences a nervous breakdown that threatens his sanity, but he still has a long way to go before he hits bottom. What follows is a powerful story of spiritual death, rebirth, faith, redemption, and forgiveness, as Matt and several others are dragged through their own personal hells before they can once again see the light. Frank Miller is most well known for his hard-boiled noir tales that often center on characters that feel like exaggerations of what you might find in a Raymond Chandler story. But here, Miller's characters feel achingly human, and his violent story beats are counterbalanced by the ideals of faith, hope, and love. These ideals shine bright in a brutal world that constantly teeters on the edge of despair. While Catholic imagery is central to Born Again, Miller's ruminations on forgiveness and healing can resonate with anyone, regardless of personal faith. Those struggles and hopes are brought to life by Mazzucchelli, whose art provides a fantastic visual complement to the story's themes. Characters feel human and frail, ready to break under the physical and emotional storms they must weather. His panel work and pacing fall perfectly in sync with Miller's plotting in order to juggle numerous storylines without losing the emotional core of the narrative. Add in religious symbols that reveal themselves after multiple read-throughs, and you have one of the best drawn stories in all of comics. Every chapter of Born Again is steeped in Christian symbolism and themes. Matt's journey is parallel to Jesus Christ's death and resurrection, with ideas of faith and forgiveness playing major roles in the story itself. Structurally, the book uses the Stations of the Cross as powerful symbols in Matt's journey to spiritual resurrection. The Stations are a traditionally Catholic series of 14 images that track Christ's crucifixion, and their usage here underlines Matt's suffering and sacrifice. While Born Again is not a one-to-one parallel of the crucifixion story, it is most clearly inspired by its themes and meaning. Matt, his best friend Foggy Nelson, Karen, and reporter Ben Urich are all put through a cycle of tribulation, death, rebirth, and redemption, with these storylines intersecting in multiple sequences. Each of the first 5 issues are titled with a Christian concept: Apocalypse, Purgatory, Pariah, Born Again, and Saved, and open with a full-page image showing Matt's death and rebirth. The first 3 depict him slowly curling into the fetal position, followed by one in the crucifixion pose, and then finally one which has him standing, illustrating his rise from spiritual death. That spiritual death comes when, upon confronting the Kingpin, Matt is badly beaten and left for dead at the bottom of the river, only to narrowly escape. Matt then stumbles through the streets of New York, a physically and spiritually broken man. He falls 3 times in his journey, hit by a cab, stabbed by a thug, and finally collapsing in the gym he trained in as a child. This reflects Christ's falls while carrying the cross on the journey to Golgotha and his eventual crucifixion. The arduous journey ends with a reflection of the Pietà, with Matt in the arms of a nun, and not just any nun, but his long-lost mother, once again reflecting Christ's journey and the Pietà's depiction of his lifeless body in the arms of his mother Mary. During this entire journey, Karen has been desperately seeking Matt. Convinced that only the man she has betrayed can save her, she journeys from Mexico to New York. Her desperation forces her to lie, steal, and prostitute herself, all in an effort to reach Matt, who could easily be dead by the time she arrives. While Matt is not a perfect man like Christ, it is Karen's sins that have metaphorically crucified him, yet still she seeks out salvation and forgiveness from him. Matt, Karen, and several others are reborn in scenes that run parallel to one another. Matt is taken in by nuns and struggles to recover for multiple days due to wounds and infections, mirroring Christ's multiple days in the tomb following his crucifixion. Karen is helped by Matt's friend Foggy upon arriving in New York, although she is still in great danger. And reporter Ben Urich chooses to reject fear caused by violent intimidation and take a stand against the Kingpin. While Matt has been spiritually reborn, he still lingers in the shadows, appearing at will and in crucial moments as Christ did following the resurrection. Matt suddenly and decisively saves Ben and his wife from certain death, but the rest of the characters have not yet been saved from destruction. Simultaneously, the gangster who brought Karen to New York, a psychopath dressed up as Daredevil and set loose by the Kingpin, and gangsters searching for Ben Urich all arrive to confront and kill Karen and Foggy. Panels fly by as the noose tightens around the characters, who are only seconds away from death, heightening the tension to an almost unbearable level. Karen, willing to sacrifice herself to save Foggy, leaves him to face her certain death. As bullets start flying, she grabs the one thing she still relies on, a needle full of heroin, looking for one last hit before dying and praying that Matt will one day forgive her for what she did to him. Little does she know that Matt has arrived, triumphantly disposing of the threats looming on all sides. No words are needed for what follows, as Mazzucchelli powerfully portrays Matt's devoted embrace of Karen in a full-page silent panel. After so much heartache and redemption, the emotions on display transcend the borders of a comic. In an instant, Matt has not only saved Karen's life, but has unquestioningly forgiven her for what she has done. All Karen can do is embrace him back and weep. Matt's face need not be shown. We see his love enveloping her and wiping away her sins. Mazzucchelli's all-too-human art intricately portrays Karen's overwhelming emotions, a tumultuous blend of grief, desperation, joy, and fulfillment as she clings to the man she loves. It's a heart-wrenching moment that depicts the true power of forgiveness, no matter what the sin may be. By embracing life and forgiving Karen, Matt has not only saved himself, but saved the lives of everyone he loves. Forgiveness and love are rarely the focal points of superhero comics, not to mention most other forms of entertainment that are often propelled by thrills and action. But this is what sets Born Again apart from most other comics. In the end, it isn't about defeating the Kingpin or finding justice for what has happened. It's about the salvation of the soul, no matter how low a person may have gone in his or her life. While the major story arc of Born Again ends in Daredevil number 231, the narrative continues in issues 232 and 233, respectively titled God and Country and Armageddon, which act as the explosive resolution to the conflict seeded previously. With all other options failing, the Kingpin uses his government ties to bring in Nuke, a psychotic super soldier used by the military as a one-man army. Nuke can scarcely tell reality from the ideas created by his psychosis, and Kingpin drops him right in the middle of Hell's Kitchen in an effort to force Daredevil into a fatal confrontation. Until this moment, Matt has been living quietly with Karen, helping to get her sober and supporting their meager needs by working as a fry cook in a diner. A simple life for a man who has cast off the weight of the world. Their quiet life erupts into flames when Nuke begins blowing up everything in sight, forcing Matt into action. When he does, it's in a fiery rebirth, with an image that has become forever linked to the man without fear. With lives at a greater risk than ever, Daredevil throws himself into battle. Once again, Matt's unbroken spirit is what gives him the edge in the fight against a man far stronger than him and seemingly impervious to harm. But the story doesn't end there. Instead, it takes even more twists and turns, with Captain America and the Avengers becoming entangled in it as well. In this wild, explosive conclusion, we see that the power of forgiveness and love create the ability to take action and enact change in the world. Born Again shows us that the healing of the spirit empowers us to do good toward others and fight against evil in the world. When all is said and done, Matt and Karen have become fully reborn. Together, they bask in the sun, smiling and ready to begin their lives once again, this time free from their many past burdens. After being put through such a painful and moving journey, we can't help but smile along with them and hope for a better life for us all.